good morning and welcome to episode 131 of Porterhouse and Teal Live. What is today?
Today is the 20th.
Today is the 20th. And what is the day? That's the date.
It's Friday.
Friday. Okay.
No, I take that back.
No, it's Friday. Yes, it is Friday. And we're a little discombobulated, I guess. Life's been going by pretty fast for both of us. We've been attempting to sit down here and have a conversation on Porterhouse and Teal Live. We've done now, 2 full episodes that will not be seen by anyone. There've probably been about an hour and 40 per episode. And we've been having some technical difficulties, which has prevented me from wanting to release those. So those are just chats that you and I had. Mm-hmm. This may wind up, in fact, being quite the same, but a lot on my mind, I guess, actually. And that's why we're sitting down here this morning, having our coffee and having a little bit of a conversation.
That's right. Nothing like waking up and saying, hey, you want to have coffee and do a live?
Yeah, why not? Let's sit down and chop it up. Yesterday was our anniversary, which was pretty cool. We've been married now, as you tell me, 37 years. I thought it was 38, but the time does fly when you're having fun with your best friend.
Nice cover.
Yeah. So happy anniversary.
Happy day late anniversary.
Yeah, we didn't do anything special other than just having the grandkids over yesterday, which was kind of nice. We had 5 of our 7 grandkids over for a little bit of time and got to have dinner with them. So that was kind of nice. It was cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, how are you doing this morning, Rebecca?
I am doing good. Still trying to wake up, but outside of that, I can't complain about anything. It was a full evening. 5 little ones. You kind of forget what it's like, how much energy it takes, mm-hmm. But there's still a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we've been doing some things around here. Nothing too crazy. We have been having some odd weather this year, I think.
Yes.
Would you not say? And would you think that's due to climate change? Are we experiencing climate change? Is that what some would lead us to believe? Is that something that you're buying into, or do you just think that that's the normal course of how things play out?
I think that the term climate change is something that we will experience our whole entire life because our climate is always ever changing.
You sound like a climate denier.
Maybe.
Should I label you as such and then try to propagandize you and marginalize your belief and get you to come over to my way of thinking?
You could try.
It's not going to work?
It's not going to work.
Okay. I'm in agreement with you. I think that whole climate change thing is, they played their hand at that. And there's a certain amount of people that buy into and believe that because people are pretty persuadable. I think that people, it's easy to manipulate their beliefs. Mm-hmm. And I would say that for me, my beliefs are kind of ever evolving. There's things that I have a core principle on, but, we have the beliefs we have because, of our life experience and the things that we see and we hear. Mm-hmm. And so, excuse me, there's a big push from, the people in power to control the narrative, to shape one's opinion and their beliefs. And so, the climate change thing is for a lot of us, I think, has been exposed as merely just kind of a ruse. Because if you're even halfway using your thinking cap, you don't even have to put on your tinfoil hat. Just your thinking cap, you realize that, the weather, some years it's like we have droughts and then other years we have floods. Mm-hmm. That's weird. Some years there's like a lot of snow. Some years there's not so much snow. And so it fits nicely under the umbrella of climate change instead of saying it's going to be, we're heading to an ice age or we're headed to some other kind of global calamity.
Right.
So yeah, propaganda is a big thing that's out there. And wanted to talk a little bit about that as we move through our conversation this morning, Rebecca. But
I want to know. So if we have a volcano erupt, what do you think they're going to call it? Is that going to be climate change too? Or are they going to give it a new name?
Well, I'm certain, as there's people out there that'll probably look at finding a way to explain something that's just a natural Earth's phenomenon. And it is explainable as to why it's occurring, right? It's the tectonic plates and the magma and the, whatever. There's a scientific explanation for it. But
so our climate is always changing.
Yeah. Somehow they will try to, attribute that to something, right? So I guess that's kind of the point of the whole propaganda thing. But anyhow, around here, been pretty busy, I guess. Sort of. Yeah, sort of. One of the things I'm excited about is today is the day that the nesting box is on its way. It should be delivered. And what I'm doing is I've purchased a nesting box that's a roll-away nesting box that will wind up going in one of our chicken coops, because we've been doing it kind of half-ass for however long we've had chickens. And in the wintertime, the eggs get really dirty because it's wet and, there's a lot of stuff they're walking over the top of. So the eggs get pretty filthy.
They do. And our new chickens have kind of taken a liking to pecking the eggs.
Yeah. The youngsters, they, some of them don't really know what they're doing. And, once they kind of figure out that, we had a bird or two in our last flock that did that. And I'm referring to our last flock because I've already mentioned this in our previous live streams that we've sat down. But I butchered all of our older birds and got them all processed up. And we're in the process now of trying to get them to become freeze-dried dog treats. However, we're having some issues with our harvest right. So
we are having difficulties with our freeze dryer where it does not want to go to the vacuum stage or the drying stage. It goes to the freezing and vacuum stage, and then it kind of lingers there for quite some time, and then it starts beeping. So it's not making it past that stage. There's something happening. We've tried various different things to make sure that the everything is closed properly and whatnot. There might be a leak. I'm unclear about that. I'll probably be testing that today to see if I can diagnose anything there. I do have Harvest Right kind of out in my left field there, waiting to find out if it will actually go through a vacuum stage empty. So that is what I'll be doing today, is to see if I can get it to go through that stage, which so far with the dog treats in it, it has not made it there. So it has not dried, not fully vacuumed and dried the treats. Yeah, no, this has been somewhat of an issue the last couple of times we've done it, and or attempted to dry some things, and this time it's not drying it at all. So we need to get that figured out. And it's somewhat of a frustration, dealing with, companies anymore, because they want you to go through, load our app, and then they do this, try all of these, even though I sent a message out there stating all of the things that I've already tried. Right. What they sent me to try is basically everything I put in the email that I tried. Right. So it's basically, shows the impersonal level of service that we get with a lot of companies these days, because it's all automated and they're all like just a bot. It's giving you check this step. And to your point, you've already checked all those steps. And so it would really be nice if we could actually talk to a human being who could just maybe lend a little bit of support, but it's frustrating. Yeah, it is. And after you've listened to it beep for 4 days, it's hard to get that sound to go away. Yeah. So I'm excited about this roll away
nesting box just because.
Me too.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have clean eggs. And then the other thing that interested me in this particular nest box was that it has like a motor I bought for it, and it has a timer and a sensor and all that sort of stuff, so that the roosting bar that they jump onto to get into the box, you can program it to automatically close at a specific time to keep the chickens out of the box. And then it will automatically open based on the time that you set for it to open in the morning, so that it'll open at, say, let's say I have it open at 4 a.m. before it even gets light. And then the chickens are going to, as soon as it's daylight, and if they want to get in there and start laying eggs, they're able to, but they're not going to stay in there throughout the evening and crap in the nesting boxes. That's always the problem, is they want to sleep in those nesting boxes, and then it fills up with their manure. So,
well, they want to do that, but also when you have a chicken, or in our case, when we have a chicken that's getting kind of pecked on by the others, it tends to get in the nesting boxes because it's difficult to get at them.
Yeah.
So they protect themselves that way.
Yeah. So this way we will exclude them from that opportunity, and then they will get pecked to death at night. So it'll work itself out nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that said, what else have we got going on around here, Rebecca?
We have a couple chickens who seem to think it's fun to fly out of the coop and either get in the dog kennel or out in the backyard.
They're still young. Yeah, they're still young. And so every time that happens, we catch them and then clip their wings. The idea is that they'll figure out at some point that, hey, this is the safer place to be. This is where I belong. And they won't try to fly out. And so right now we've got, how many do we got out there? 33?
The last time I counted, there was 33.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. That's too many for us right now. We've got far too many eggs, and, we've been giving them away and stuff like that, but, it's nice to be able to at least do that for family, and yeah, it's nice.
So one of the evenings I went out to put, not put them up because they put themselves up now because it's all automated, but just to check on them, make sure there's no more eggs that are out there. I noticed one of the chickens, and it was between the cyclone fencing and the coop, just kind of smashed with its head through the cyclone fencing.
Yeah.
And it kind of struck me as funny on one hand, but on the other hand, this chicken's never going to get itself out. We do have a feral cat,
mm-hmm.
and that chicken would more than likely not have any eyeballs in the morning.
Yeah, no, I think that could very well be what that cat was doing. We talked about the predation that we had in a previous episode, and that could have been the end of it, but it is what it is. You're gonna lose some chickens due to chickens doing stupid things, and we try to eliminate those when we see that, there's an area that we've, they're susceptible to getting into, and so I've been kind of patching up little areas in the chicken yard to prevent them from doing that. Our older birds weren't, doing that. They were pretty much just older birds, and they knew what the program was. These chickens are kind of everywhere, but nonetheless.
I was able to get that chicken out, by the way. I had to pull on the cyclone fencing and whatnot and kind of stuff the neck back through and encourage it to move forward.
Yeah.
So we do still have it. It still has its eyeballs.
Oh, does it?
It does.
Okay. Yeah.
But the cat was meowing, so.
So anyhow, enough chicken talk, I guess. What else is going on around here? It's Valentine's week, which for me indicates it's time to put in onions. And so I've already done that. I started February 15th putting in my onions. We wound up going up to a nursery, purchasing a lot of onion starts. And I planted all of those, and then I wasn't quite done with needing to put in onions. And so I wound up going down to Home Depot and they have onions like starts, the little bulbs. And so I planted the remainder in that. So I bet you I've probably planted somewhere around 400 to 500 onions. So
That's a lot of onions.
yeah, so we should be good. You said, I think we talked about it in our last episode, but we still have onions from last year, correct? But we're getting low, in other words, right?
Yes, there's just a handful of them left.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe planting the additional this year, maybe that'll get us a little further along. The one nice thing is that we did freeze dry onions. So you prepared
when the freeze dryer was working.
Yeah, you prepared onions and got them all diced up. So you have that as a reserve to work on as far as cooking, but they won't be fresh. What else has been going on? Anything of note, Rebecca?
Other than just kind of maintaining and picking up, it's constant. It's always constant going through cabinets and getting rid of. And it seems like everything you throw away, something else appears.
Yeah. Well, that's an ongoing thing. And yeah, I think that's something we need to continue to do. I think our place looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty intact and in order, but there's always things that you can do to improve. I also got off my ass this year and decided to work on a project that's been hanging out there for about a year. It didn't really take me that long to do. It's just something that I needed to do, but I worked on getting the center pasture, the fence. I needed to put in another brace, and then after that dried and all, I wound up stretching the wire. So the wire's been stretched, the brace is in, and all I need to do is just to go down and purchase the gate to put in. It's an 8-foot gate. And then that will open up our center pasture, which we'll be able to open up and allow our cow to go in there and eat that all down, because it's nothing more than a fire hazard and habitat for snakes and all kinds of other shit. So I'll either be mowing that or, allowing the cow to eat it. And so this year, at least I'll be able to put a cow in there. So that's been something I've been working on too. The whole idea is really for me to lessen the things that I have to do around here, just in keeping this place, maintained at a basic minimum. It requires a good deal of, going out, mowing lawns, picking up shit, putting things away, spraying out weeds and all of those types of things. That takes a tremendous amount of work in and of itself, aside from any of the other projects that I might want to do. But as I've mentioned before, I kind of want to minimize those projects this year and put a little bit more focus on trying to go out and to do some things away from the property. And so the nesting box, working on the automatic feeders for the chickens, the automatic door openers for the chickens, that's all part of the plan. That's all part of the thing that I've been working on, because I would like to be able to just say, hey, let's get in the motorhome and go somewhere, instead of worrying about, we got to let the chickens in and out. Fuck that. I don't want to have to work for chickens. They're supposed to be here for us. And the more that I can lessen what we need to do, the better, right? So I'm excited about that whole transition.
Yes.
So
that'll be nice. We will, however, still have to encourage one of our children to come and collect the eggs when we're gone. So it's not a complete foolproof, but
Sure.
But they won't have to come every single day.
Yeah.
So that would be nice on them.
Yeah. No, that's something I'm looking forward to. But anyhow, aside from that, around the homestead, I think that's about all we've been working on. It's just
right now. It's kind of the slow season where things haven't really taken on, such as like the tomatoes and other vegetables that we really have to get involved in canning and getting those picked and staying on top of all of that. So this is kind of the slow season right now.
Yeah.
But certainly the other will come quickly.
Right. one of the things that I guess I wanted to talk about is the whole propaganda. We started talking earlier about that and how easily we can be swayed to believing certain things. And there's been a lot going on in the world, globally, and as well as like locally. And one of the things that I've really had to accept, I suppose, is that, and it's hard to do this, I think, for people. People don't like to admit when they're wrong. People don't like to admit when they've been tricked and fooled. And, I would have to say, our last episode, we did kind of a grade for the president and how things have gone through his first year within his administration. But it's incredible how much stuff has gone on since that last episode. I think that was January 14th that we came on and we did that. And the amount of things that have happened and the amount of just constant barrage of propaganda and people just taking a side, and I guess just the turbulence and the tumult surrounding this administration has been just incredible. And, what I will say, Rebecca, is that it's amazing to me how quickly my opinion has changed. Now, I can't speak for anybody else, but I consider myself to be somebody who yes, I pick a side because we really only have either this side to pick or that side to pick, right? You don't ever get the candidate that probably really suits you individually. You either get this extreme or that extreme. And
it's like buying a pair of jeans.
Well, no, it's not anything like buying a pair of jeans.
No, as far as you never get one that is specifically cut to fit you.
Okay.
And you're either going to have it this way. It's got too much elasticity in it, or the legs are too straight or something. You give up something.
Right. Of course.
So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. There's a give and take with the whole binary choice that we're presented. Right. And I will still say that I think that we needed a course correction from where we had been with what the Biden administration had done. But the course correction, at least from my standpoint at this point, I'm kind of wondering where we're going with this thing. And it's amazing to see how the president and his administration could take so much goodwill. I mean, he had the wind at his back at the inauguration. People were very excited about the prospect of him following through on all of the promises that he had made. He had made some very lofty promises about cleaning up corruption within the government, about holding people accountable, right? Going after some of the people that have been sheltered through their, the things that they've been getting away with, right? The whole drain the swamp thing, all of that, the whole let's cut waste, fraud, and abuse and everything. Let's not start any new wars. There was so much promise, I think, and hope that people had. And I would put myself in that camp, that I was very hopeful that, you know what, I bought the fucking message that was being put forth. And, I started to see signs early on that gave me some like, hey, wait a minute, this is kind of fucked up. Hey, we're going to go in and we're going to rebuild Gaza. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not America first. What are you talking about that for? In March, right? In March of last year. He's talking about that. And that was like, wait a minute, and the whole pushback that, the disruption of where we were going with Doge, that started out great. And then all of a sudden that got dropped, right? Oh, we're not going to be able to meet this. And then we're going to deport all these people, right? And that's kind of been given up on. And so there's just been so much broken promises that it feels like, that like you made a mistake in some regard. And now I don't know what the alternative would have been. What would be the alternative to vote for Kamala and what the Democrats were doing? No, we had hope. We had hope.
Mm-hmm.
At least I did. And now that hope seems to like really be just gone. And I'm disaffected and disinterested in voting. So do you think that that's smart? Should I abstain from the next election?
I would say no, you shouldn't abstain from the next election, even though you feel like you've been let down and you don't want to vote, because that's just more encouragement for votes to go the opposite way. Now,
yeah, but what do you?
Maybe the next person that comes in has more promise, and you want to go the other direction. But it's all kind of part of the game,
right? It is part of the game, and it's unfortunate because when you see the game being put right out in the open, and then you're being gaslit and being told that no, the economy's doing great and that we're winning and we're doing all of these things that Trump is going to say that we're doing, but yet the average person doesn't really feel like, hey, things are that much different or that much better, because, you go to the grocery store and you see the cost of things. You go to purchase something, you see the cost of that. And it's a real big letdown, I would say. And I don't know. I don't know where we go from here as far as like politically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I would say that some of the message that Trump was putting out, I feel that was what he wanted to do. And even if you hear very early on there, he stuck to that. And then all of a sudden it was like a light switch flipped. So I would say that the message that he ran on was somewhat what he was interested in, but hooks got put into him and all of that got reined back.
So, okay, that's an interesting angle. And where are these hooks coming from? And where do you think that originates from? And who's the person or persons or entities that have the hooks? Where's that coming from? Who's changed him from 180 degrees from what he ran upon?
Well, one of the things that we've talked about is, what is it that Israel has over us? Because right now it seems like they're running our state. Yeah. So I would say they have their hooks in him along with the deep state. So
if you were to say that, I would say that you're an anti-Semite.
Well, too bad.
But you see my argument that, like, from the standpoint of propaganda, mm-hmm. and how people tend to call names like, oh, hey, you're a racist. Well, no, I'm just saying this as a fact or an opinion on how I feel about something. And then I throw out an epithet. I throw out an accusation that you are an anti-Semite. And that right there was kind of like, and I spoke about this months ago, but it was all part of the signs that I saw in the administration. That was something that was done immediately within his first month. There was all of the different cabinet level, whether it's the Department of Treasury or the Homeland Security or the Department of Justice, all of it in their mission statement had something to combat anti-Semitism.
It didn't initially. Well,
it did initially.
At least it did not for Kennedy.
No, it did. And yes, it did.
It was added.
Okay. So it was added.
It was added. But initially when he read it, it was not in there. But then it was put in.
I think you're mistaken, because all of those agencies, I looked into it, And I don't want to sit here and argue and debate over it. The fact is that it's in there now.
It is in there now. I'm not going to dispute that.
What about for any other protected class? Do they have a special carve out in there for anti this or anti that? So
It shouldn't. It doesn't make any sense.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And so there's always been this, oh, well, the Jews run everything. There's always been, oh, the Jews run everything. And I think by you even saying the Jews run everything, that makes you look like you're a racist, finger quotes. That makes you look like you're an anti-Semite, finger quote. But when you actually dig into it and you look and see what the fuck is really going on, it's like hard to unsee.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very hard to unsee. So, for example, right now, Rebecca, I don't know if you know this, but this board of peace that's taking shape over in the Middle East right now. Do you know what the board of peace is?
I have just seen a picture of them, excuse me, gathering around of all and have heard that term.
Okay.
But exactly what they're talking about, I don't know.
Okay. So what the board of peace is it's a charter that's being put together by Donald Trump and Jared Kushner and other people high up in the administration and the Israelis to get a collection of countries together, and they're going to promote peace upon the region within Gaza, right? The former Palestinian state known as Gaza and Israel. It's put there to help the rebuilding efforts and making that into what Trump had referred to as, oh, it's going to be the such and such of the Mediterranean, right? And so you've got a collection of different countries that are getting together to coordinate that. Israel is a part of it, and the United States, of course, is spearheading it. And it's actually approved by the United Nations through a resolution. So it's like a whole legal and official thing taking shape right now. And currently we have pledged $10 billion. We are the lead contributor. However, well, let me back up. We are putting in $10 billion, the United States taxpayer, okay, you and I, because it is tax season. We will soon be sitting down with our tax preparer to put our stake in so that we can help to rebuild Gaza. And then all the rest of the other countries combined, they're contributing an additional or pledging. This isn't anything that's gone through yet. This is the pledge, the initial pledge, $7 billion. So there's a total of $17 billion to help this rebuilding and reconstruction effort thus far, initially. Okay. However, that's not something that can be done through executive order. That has to be gone through and allocated through Congress. So what I would suggest to you and anybody else is let's just see how this plays out, because what Israel wants, Israel gets in our Congress.
Yes.
And this is what Israel wants. This isn't really what the United States wants, as far as you and I, the taxpayer, the people that will probably maybe listen to this discussion. The majority of them aren't super in favor of sending our money over to foreign countries to rebuild their infrastructure. That's not what we want, I don't think. And I will actually speak for many people by saying that. But that's what this is, okay? So that still needs to go through, but all I would say is just pay attention to what goes through, because both sides of the aisle stand up and applaud when Israel's representative Netanyahu comes to the Congress. Most of them are all at the trough. Most of them are all on the take. They are all getting funding from AIPAC. All right? They're getting funding from the Jewish lobby. And so just that fact alone, when you start to look into that, that's just one more of many, many different things. Do you know something else about this charter that Israel is a part of, this Board of Peace?
No.
You know how much fucking money they're contributing?
0.
Oh boy, ding, ding, ding. You got it right. You got it right.
That was easy to guess.
That was easy to guess, right? Why would that be?
Because
do you know
they have no money to contribute.
Well, no, they've got plenty of money to contribute because you know what? They give they've got like free healthcare over there. They've got like publicly funded education, higher
Off of our backs.
Well, of course. Our tax dollars go over there to provide for their Iron Dome. It goes over there to provide for their military and security, right? So they don't have to actually provide that to themselves. Right. We fund that so they can take other resources and pay for free healthcare and free college and free dental and all the shit that we have to pay for out of our pockets from the standpoint of insurance. But they don't have to pay for that. Why is that? Would not a thinking individual at some point start to put 2 and 2 together and say, well, why is that?
So if we didn't go over and help fund their wars, which I think that they need us to do that for them to actually have a war. But anyway, if we chose not to, what do you think would happen?
What do I think would happen?
Yeah. If all of a sudden we decided, you know what? I'm sorry. You have to fight your own war. We're not going to help you out on this one.
Well, I think the more important question to ask is why hasn't that happened?
Yeah.
Not what would happen. Why hasn't that happened?
It should have happened, 77 years ago?
Well, it's not to say that we shouldn't have allies and we shouldn't help and we shouldn't do these things. But, we had a president that got up after being sworn in this year and was saying things like, we've got a big, beautiful ocean between us and what's happening over there in Ukraine. That's not our business. We're tired of funding these wars. We're tired of it's America first. We've got a big, beautiful ocean. Well, how big is the ocean between us and Israel? So that doesn't hold water. You know what also doesn't hold water? Is that he went back on that promise. We're funding the Ukrainian conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of what's happening in the military industrial complex. We have to do that. We have to fund Raytheon. We have to fund Lockheed Martin. We have to fund Boeing. These big contracts. That's how the money is made. That's who's running the country. Not those corporations and companies specifically. That's just one aspect of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had and I should have downloaded this. I don't know. I'll play this for you because this is coming off my phone. So hopefully this will pick up on the audio. But this explains like a lot of what's happening right now. And if you don't understand this, you're kind of missing the point. But before I play that, let me play this one. Let's see what you think of this.
Expected to even pay 1 penny to rebuild Gaza at this point?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'll tell you, if anything, there ought to be reparations to Israel for the extraordinary fight that they have had to conduct to get their hostages back, 252, including many Americans.
So that's our ambassador, Mr. Mike Huckabee. Remember Governor Huckabee that ran for president? Well, he's over there as our ambassador to Israel, I guess. Some kind of a diplomat over there. And he puts on his little tiny hat, right? His little yarmulke, and he kisses the wall, just like Trump kisses the wall, just like every president before him has kissed the wall. The only president that really didn't kiss the wall and tried to actually rein these people in got shot in the head in Dallas, Texas. That was JFK. And so it's pretty interesting, man, when you start to see all these different things and you realize this is our guy saying that the reporter asked the question, should Israel pay for any of this reconstruction? Should they pay even 1 penny to Gaza? And he's like, absolutely not. No, that's on the U.S. taxpayer. You fucking idiot. We've pledged $10 billion. That's our obligation because Israel actually owns the United States. That's what it's becoming more clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's the, I mean, how is any of this occurring? Right? Explain to me, Rebecca, or anybody else, ask yourself, how does any of this make any kind of sense?
It doesn't make any sense.
Israel blows the fucking place up, kills a bunch of civilians.
Yes, but how do they blow that place up?
Well, they blow that up with their military that is funded by our military.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
So
if it wasn't funded by us, would they have been able to do that?
Has there been anybody speaking out against this in our Congress? They're pretty quiet, with the exception of people like Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, traitors like that, traitors to our country because they're not getting in line with a genocide. That's an amazing thing, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
It's quite maddening. Talking about how all of this stuff happens, this is a very astute analysis of this. This is Dave Smith on Joe Rogan. And just take a listen quickly, Rebecca, about what this guy says.
25 years, we've spent close to $10 trillion on wars, and they didn't tax the American people for that. Because they know they couldn't tax us enough to pay. We would put an end to it. If they tried to raise everybody's taxes enough to come up with $10 trillion because we want to go fight regime change wars all over the Middle East, the American people would have been like, no, we're not doing that. But they didn't do that. They kept taxes where they were. I think they even cut some rates during those years, top rates. And then they borrowed the rest, and they still couldn't borrow enough. So they just print the money. And then essentially what happens is that the price of everything just goes up and up and up. And you just put more money into the system, and then people start looking around and going like, geez, why is the price of housing and healthcare and energy and childcare totally unaffordable? And the answer is because you're paying for the war in Iraq. And nobody thinks about it like that. But that's really what's going on. They can't. So for all the young people who are coming out of college now, and they're like, I'm 150 grand in debt. I have a gender studies major degree or whatever, maybe something better than that, but they got an English degree or something, and they're working at DoorDash, and the average house is going for 600 grand. And they're like, what am I possibly going to do? It's like the reason why these kids are all demanding socialism, at least on the left, is because what else are you going to do? How do you even, but the reason why that is the case is because your government decided to spend trillions of dollars on blowing up brown countries, and in some cases then rebuilding them to blow them up again. I mean, this is the actual cost of the thing. And I feel like it's almost nobody outside of the Ron Paul libertarians, the Austrian economics guys, almost nobody else ever makes this connection. That it's this is the deal. You can't be a world empire without having a central bank that can print money for you, because otherwise it just doesn't work. Resources are finite and you'll run out of them. And so you can't do that without having this monetary system. But the cost of this monetary system is that prices always go up and up and up and up. And that rigs the entire economy against the working class and the middle class in favor of the rich. It's just the way it is. When the value of assets is going up and up and up and up, that's great if you own stuff. That's great if you own stuff and you're selling it. If you got $1 billion in the bank, inflation is your best friend. But if you're on a fixed income or you're a working class person, it just destroys you.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well said, I would say. One of the things that's been a little bit illuminating for me, I guess, is how certain people will speak up, but only when their side isn't in power. And I'm seeing that now kind of on the Instagram, at least on my Instagram feed, because it's an an athletic ultra running community that I follow over there. Mm-hmm. And I would say that probably 65 to 70% of people in that community are probably leaning left, I would say. It might be more strong. It might be closer to 40% conservative, generally, I think, on the high side. But generally, those people are pretty quiet about their politics. They don't put that out there like kind of in your face. Mm-hmm. And so I will say that there weren't a lot of people speaking up when things were kind of fucked up under Biden administration. There was plenty to complain about, plenty to call out as far as being, wrong for what we, the American people, kind of expect, right? We just expect things to be fair. We expect to live our lives and to be kind of left alone. I think both sides really want that for the most part, unless you're some fucking radical nut. But people are speaking out now, whether it's what's going on with the shootings in Minnesota or, all of the things that, there's plenty to pull on as far as from what Trump is doing. There's plenty to complain about, but now they want to speak up, but they didn't have anything to say before. And I have a quote here that I want to read because it's such a good quote. And it is from Ron Paul. Ron Paul is one of those people that I think when you listen to what he has said back when he was trying to run for president, but he's never going to get there. He's never going to get there because of his outsider status. He's just too fringe. He's like a Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is a fucking nut, and the things that he advocates for aren't anything that I agree with for the most part. With free health, all this free shit. But they're not gonna like be the next person in power because the people, they're probably not controllable enough, or at least they think that they're not. I thought that about Donald Trump, actually. I thought Donald Trump was this maverick, but he's proving to be somebody who's actually quite controllable. And I'm wondering if that control comes from the things that they have on him within the Epstein files, right? That's got to be, it's definitely a reason why he's being so protective of those files. When he flipped his position on that. Oh yeah, that's something I would release, and that was just all rhetoric. That was all bullshit. He didn't mean that. He said it. We believed it, and now we're trying to hold him to account for it. And he's like, he doesn't want anything to do with that. It's a full-on cover-up. It's a full-on government cover-up. And so you have to ask yourself, is that the reason why he's flipped? Because whoever controls those files ultimately, is it Trump? Is it the last guy? Is it Clinton? They're all in there. All of these people are dirty, right? Whether you're a left winger or a right winger, there's plenty probably of both on both sides that are in that list. And all that blacked out shit that's being redacted. So that might be who's controlling. And is it the intelligence agencies that control that? From the CIA and Mossad and everybody else? I don't know.
Right. I would say, regardless of if he's in the files or not, they would put him in the files.
Who's they?
Either Israel or the deep state or whoever has control of those who.
Why didn't they do that before? Why didn't they do that before then? Why didn't they put him in the files before? Because see, when you expose that sort of thing, you no longer have the leverage of blackmail, right? Trump used to be a liberal. He was a Democrat. Now I understand people change their political affiliation. They change their position as they learn new things in life. Hey, I used to believe this. Now I believe this. And I've since, decided to come over to this side because this side makes more sense. I get that. I'm not saying there's anything like nefarious or whatever, but it just shows you how easily all of these people can just be persuaded to like go with, what seems to be popular at the time or what's going to get them to the ascendancy of the power level they want to achieve. Right. It's politically expedient to say these things and then to fool people to thinking this is what you're going to do. And then once you get in there, the mask comes off and you get to see a person's true colors. Trump is showing his true colors. That's just who he is. It's
Yeah,
not.
I'm not disputing any of that.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that, say, Israel is in those files as well, and they've got control over those. They would enhance to keep him in control. Is all I'm saying.
Well,
So maybe he's been over there. Maybe he's flown on the plane. Maybe he's had sex with 18-year-olds, but not 13-year-olds. But they can make it appear as though and cause even more damage to. I mean, there's already damage on him, but create even more so.
Yes, we can speculate and we can hypothetical all of the things related to this, and that's going to continue to happen. You know why? Because they haven't been very forthcoming on the information. If there was nothing to hide, there wouldn't be all this stuff that's been blacked out. So forever and all of eternity, people are going to be saying, well, this is this, and this is the reason why I believe that. Nobody's going to believe anything these people say, and Trump isn't doing anything to lend confidence to that, because he's gaslighting people every time he steps to the mic. He's fucking lying out of his face every time he steps to the mic.
Do you think that he would ordinarily do that, or do you think that he has been threatened?
Oh, I know he's been threatened. I think he's being puppeted by the state of Israel. There's no fucking other explanation as to why we are funding this tiny little country, all in the name of democracy. That doesn't hold water, man. There's other countries that are trying to be democratic. Where's our allegiance and our alliance to them? Where's the provisions for them or their ethnicity within our charter to be anti this or anti that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the more you see it, the harder it is to unsee. Let me get to that quote, Rebecca, that I was bringing up, because this is from, again, Ron Paul, and this is the quote, and I think it's so important for people to at least think about this and to ask themselves the question: was I speaking up when my side was in power, or was I just speaking up when the other side's was in power? Because there's a lot of people now in my Instagram feed talking about all the shit that Trump's doing, but I didn't hear them saying a fucking thing when Biden was doing it, right? When the media was covering up for a president who was being puppeted, when all of the things the COVID lies and the lockdowns and all of the shit, they bought the propaganda. They didn't question anything. And then even now that it's come out that, a lot of that shit was lies, a lot of that stuff was actually, a real problem, and it's been proven so, they're still silent. They're not coming out and saying, you know what, both sides are kind of fucking us over here. And what do we have to do as Americans? I don't think there's really anything we can do, honestly. I'm not going to stop doing the things that I'm doing in life. It's not like, it's just that it becomes so much more apparent when you start to really think about what you're seeing, right? And who's controlling what we do. But yet we're expected to go to our tax preparer and to give our cut so that Israel can have free health care and they can have everything else provided for them. They're running shit, man. They just absolutely are. So here again, that quote: there's a very disturbing trend where people will only speak up when their team isn't in power. Once their team is in power, every encroachment against liberty is met with silence. Speak up no matter what. Your team cannot save you when your liberty is gone.
So true.
And that's a very, very true thing when you think about it. But see, all of the noise, all of the constant distractions about the things you're seeing on Twitter and everywhere in your feed, it's all designed to get you to feel a certain way about something. I saw on my Twitter feed, right? I saw it came up and it was from somebody retweeted a quote from some political person that spends all day on the fucking thing. And I think his name's Jack Posobiec, and he's just one of those kind of like people, that's their industry. They stay on Twitter, they fight with people all day, whatever. They're just super into politics. And it came up in my feed because I think it was reposted by somebody I'm following. And the question was, should we go to war with Iraq? Pretty simple, or Iran. It's a pretty simple question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot there. Just should we go to war with Iran? And it was surprising to me because it was about a third of the people actually said, yes, we should go to war with Iran. And I'm thinking, okay, so it's either people that are being paid, because there's paid influencers out there. There's people that are just rooting for their team.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other one. They're just either, hey, I'm team red or I'm team blue, and I'm just gonna, that's my allegiance, and I'm gonna support whatever the establishment is supporting. So there's those two camps. But then I'm thinking, who's the other person? Who's the other person that's saying, yeah, let's go to war with Iran? If you're in that camp, what are you thinking? What are you thinking, Rebecca? I mean, are you in that camp? Should we go to war with Iran or should we not?
I don't believe we should. As I've said before, we have enough trouble in our own country. And we need to clean up our own country before we worry about other people's countries or helping out with other people's countries.
Yeah, that's very simple. That's a very simple analysis, and I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. I think that I would ask the question: who are the people that are saying yes, we should go to war with Iran? I wonder how much skin in the game they have. Do they have people that are possibly going to lose their life in the military? That are going to say, yeah, let's do this. My son's a Marine and he's going to be boots on the ground, or a fighter pilot. And you know what? They could die behind enemy lines. Right?
I would say that there is a very, very small percentage of military people who are extremely hardcore. We're going to go fight. But other than that, I would say no. I mean, why do they want to go and have their legs blown off, or, come back in a box, or, Well,
of course. Yeah. So it's just interesting to me that there would even be people that are in support of that. What's our interest in Iran? Have they believed the fact that, Iran's got this bomb and it's going to threaten Israel? That's our allegiance. And, let Israel fight its own fucking wars.
Yes.
They seem to be pretty good at blowing shit up. So let them get on with it. Right. Mm-hmm. They just wiped out an entire population of people for the most part.
But we funded it.
Again. Yes.
So we have to not fund these wars and let Israel do Israel's thing, not on our backs.
Right. So previous presidents have kind of warned about, this whole alliance with Israel, AIPAC.
Peace.
Let's go back to this.
AIPAC is not dedicated to peace. They're dedicated to inducing the maximum support in America, in the White House, in the Congress, and in the public media for whatever policies the Israeli government has. Americans don't want to know, and many Israelis don't want to know what is going on inside Palestine. It's a terrible human rights persecution that far transcends what any outsider would imagine. And there are powerful political forces in America that prevents any objective analysis of the problem in the Holy Land.
So that was Jimmy Carter saying that AIPAC's not, that's not their job. It's not to promote peace. It's to promote what's in the interest of Israel. And of course, Israel has this idea. And Benjamin Netanyahu has stated as much about the greater Israel. And that's just an expansion in that region, moving into several different countries, ultimately. And that's where they view the land should be theirs. And so this whole move that's been taking place since the inception of this entity, Israel, has been on a continuing expansion of taking more land, and it's being supported by us, the taxpayer. And unfortunately, a lot of people, when they speak out against that, they get targeted. Charlie Kirk being one of those people. I don't know. It's just so incredibly transparent when you start to put all the different little pieces together. And then, nobody seems to ask the question. And then when you ask the question, you get targeted as an anti-Semite. I don't know. Well, what does that even mean? Anti-Semite. What the fuck does that even mean? Is that not my right to be anti something? It's part of your right. You can believe what you want to believe in this country, and you can support who you want to believe. Right? Is now, if you were to say, "Oh, I hate that. I hate what's going on over there," is that something that's against the law now? Does that make you an anti-Semite?
I would say that they're working towards making that against the law.
Right. Let me pull this one up.
I think the best reading of what happened there is who wanted JFK dead the most. Again, a lot of people said Israel wanted JFK dead. I would love to hear that argument, but definitely Lyndon Baines Johnson and parts of our own government and the Cubans wanted him dead. And who actually made it happen? There were like 15 or 20 things that happened that day that were inexcusable. They changed the parade route. He rode in an open air convertible. LBJ decided not to ride alongside of him. The vehicle slowed down right when it went by the Texas School Book Depository. A lot there, right? And then again, I think that all of us are smarter to believe that it was simply Lee Harvey Oswald. The more important question is not, oh, who did it? We have to first acknowledge it that more than one person did it. Once we acknowledge that more than one person did it, then we can expose our government to have lied to us about the JFK assassination, which then I think will sober a lot of us about trusting the government in the future.
Yeah, old Charlie Kirk, being pretty outspoken there. There was a lot of things he was talking about that when you start to put all that together, there's a lot of things he was talking about, and some of it very critical of the nation of Israel and their influence and the things that they were doing. But that's been quickly debunked and denounced by the officials running our country, right? That's not what took place there. You're not to suggest that. And if you do, you're going to be labeled something, or you're going to be watched or whatever. But it's interesting, right? We don't even have the ability to try to say, well, what's really going on? Is there something more behind what we're being told? Because obviously there's been plenty of lies that are just out in the open with the Trump administration. They're just fucking straight telling you it's this when it's no, I just saw it. It's that. Just like with the election for the last guy. Oh, no, you didn't see them pulling the ballots out from underneath the table. You didn't see that. That didn't happen. Now you don't talk about it. The same thing is going on now with this administration. And so when they tell you something, for me, it's like, I'm going to just pause for a second and try to think for myself and say, well, why do I believe what do I believe? And what's influencing me?
Yeah. I think it's very difficult to be in that position. It's easier to sit in our spot and say, this is what I would do. However, and this is not to make any excuse for Trump or anything, but if you were in his position and you had the opinion that you didn't want to support Israel, and you were receiving all of these death threats, how do you go? Do you continue to fight against it, knowing that more than likely you're going to be taken out and possibly your whole entire family? Or do you just kind of go along with the flow?
I don't know. It's very easy for any of us to sit here and to say, well, this is what they should do. None of us have sat in that chair. There's very few people that have sat in that chair. It's a very small and narrow and elite club that they all belong to. But one thing I would just say is that what we're seeing now is it's just the same coin. We're just seeing a different side of the same coin, right? We were sold that we weren't going to be using coins anymore, or, something was going to be different about Trump. And that's what the appeal to him actually was for so many of us. I know that was the appeal, is that he was this outsider, that he was going to be different. And he sold us on that. And I can readily admit I was fooled. I believed it, but it's not true. He's a fucking puppet, just like any of the other presidents before him. They all have controllers. They all have people that control them. Now, the difference with Trump is he's actually demonstrating that he wants to be this dictator. He wants to be that person. And, but he doesn't have that level of control. He can just do superficial, stupid things that piss people off is all, right? He can't do anything like permanent.
I just don't think that he wants to be on the outside.
No, he can do plenty that's permanent. That was a stupid thing for me to say. He can do a lot of things that are permanent. But he does a lot of superficial things to embellish his own ego and his own narcissistic personality. Perfect example is putting all the banners and shit up on these buildings, right? That's the latest controversy, is he's putting a big fucking banner on the Department of Justice or the USDA or, the Pentagon, whatever. All these government buildings now have a picture, a banner with his face and his likeness emblazoned upon it. And it's just like, for one, that's stupid. We don't do shit like North Korea and Russia, but it's like he wants to be that dictator guy. And I'm not saying he wants to be a dictator, but it shows, or it signals to the other people that think that about him already, right? If you're on the left, you already think Trump is an authoritarian dictator.
Well, they've been talking about it. They keep putting that message out there.
So he's now confirming what they already said about him, just like the whole thing with the Obama when he had them dressed up as apes in that cartoon. For one, what the fuck are you doing with cartoons, tweeting out cartoons? You're the fucking president, you idiot. You look like a fucking clown, a dumbass, a child. And so what are you even doing that for? And then to allow that to happen, you just feed upon what people already said about you. You're a racist, right?
So I have a question for you. Earlier in his term, they were talking about him possibly running for 2028, which we know you can only have 2 terms. Right. But they were throwing that out there.
Yeah.
So is this to help in line? If in fact we turn over to a dictatorship, would we keep Trump in office? Would he actually get the next?
It's not going to happen.
Would it not happen?
It's not going to happen. They're talking about it. It's not.
But have you heard them talk about it recently?
I don't know. They've talked about so much stuff recently. I mean, you can speculate about all that, and people have been throwing it out to like get people fired up. Oh, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to have, whatever against the Constitution. He's doing plenty of shit against the Constitution right now, right? It's just whether or not it's going to hold up in court. It won't hold up in court. It just won't.
So again, the only thing about these banners being put up there that possibly would not be permanent. Now, this is a possibly wouldn't be permanent, is that they have the 250 on there.
Yeah, again, that's fine. Celebrate all that stuff. But it's like there's just so much like pageantry and pomp and circumstance with this dude, right? We're going to have the UFC fight at the White House. We're going to do this. We're going to put up a big, beautiful flagpole. We're going to do this. It's all just, it's so fucking unnecessary. We didn't elect somebody for that. I don't think. I didn't. No. That's not what I was saying. Like, hey, let's do that. Let's have a military parade. That's North Korea shit, man. Right? When the fuck do we like roll our tanks down the street and sit there and look at them, as they go by? What the fuck is that? What is changing the Department of Defense to Department of War? Right? This was the peace president. You see what I'm saying? It's just one little stupid thing after the next. And it's like, how much of this, like, well, and what's the point? You know,
Again, I would love to be a fly on the wall to have more of an insight as to what's really happening, because we are on the outside speculating, putting pieces together of what we see going on.
Right. But what did we see? We see a bunch of bullshit, at least for me. Yeah, that would be great. Wouldn't it be nice to be a fly on the wall and hear what they're saying in any of these meetings? That's not the point. The point is what we're actually being presented.
So that you know exactly what's going on.
Okay.
Because we don't 100% know what's going on. We have an idea. We feel we're right with our ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the whole point of thinking about it rather than just listening to what they say. This is what's happening and believing it. That's the whole point. Yeah. None of us have any idea. Let's just get that out of the way. Nobody has 100% idea. Anybody who thinks that I've been following politics my whole life and they're this insider, they don't even fucking know what they're talking about. So let's just like dispel the idea that anybody knows what's going on. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier I played Jimmy Carter talking about AIPAC and that they don't have any desire for peace. That's not their organization. Here's another former president. And I'm not saying that these guys were good guys, but you have to ask yourself, if they're saying it openly and out loud, shouldn't you at least just go, that's interesting. Why would he say that?
Mr. Netanyahu has long wanted to fight Iran because that way he can stay in office forever and ever. He's been there most of the last 20 years. But I think we should be trying to diffuse it. And I hope President Trump will do that. I hope anybody there will do that. We've got to stop. We got to convince our friends in the Middle East that we'll stand with them and try to protect them. But choosing undeclared wars in which the primary victims are civilians who are not politically involved one way or the other, just want to live decent lives, is not a very good solution. Do I think that we have to try to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon? I do. I tried at that, and we had some success. But we don't have to have all this outright, constant killing of civilians who can't defend themselves.
So, I mean, again, he doesn't have the answers. He tried and he failed. There's always going to be this constant conflict. But, when the World Trade Center gets knocked down and then there's fucking people on the other side of the world that are cheering for that, I can see their point, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I can see their point, because they've been looking at their people getting killed for fucking decades. Bombs being dropped on them, all in the name of what? All in the name of, hey, you live your life according to the way you want to live, but we don't get to do that. Now, do we have people that have been radicalized? Do we have them living in our own country? Absolutely, we do. It's because of poor policy and bad decision-making of the past. Could very well be that, or it could just be that those people that read that book are just hateful people and they want all people of Western civilization, the great Satan, to die. Could be that too. We don't know. But as I sit here wearing my free man shirt, that means, hey, I think that a lot of people want to be free, want to live a certain amount of those people that want war. So when you ask the poll, should we go to war with Iran? There's a certain amount of people that, oh yeah, let's get some more blood. I'm cool with dropping some bombs because it really doesn't affect me, and fuck those people. Because I've been radicalized in my own thoughts that I don't even look at them like they're humans. I just look at them like, hey, they're Democrat. Oh, hey, they're Republican. And that's really what we have in our own country amongst our own politicians. They can't even agree on anything. They have to attack each other based on their ideology. There isn't this ideology or commonality of saying, hey, we're Americans first. let's do what's best for everyone, not just the elite, not just the people at the top that are going to benefit the most. But that's now what we have and what we're seeing take shape in the White House. The White House has been very friendly to the donor class, the people that are actually making money. That's why they want to talk about, oh, look at the stock market. It's fucking great. 50,000, the stock market. Yay. Well, that's good for me because I'm in the fucking stock market. We have a pension. That's good for us. What about the 40% of Americans that don't have that? And I'm not saying that like they should be given anything for free, but no, let's go down that road for just a second, Rebecca.
Okay.
What do you think about people getting shit for free in this country?
I don't think people should get things for free because nothing truly is for free. Somebody's paying for it. So that's my thought on that. As far as getting a help up, so you're getting free something, there should be a term limit on that. I don't think that there is anything wrong with giving aid or helping citizens who truly want help and are moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So yes, would they get maybe some free food to kind of help feed their kids and whatnot, but they're showing that they're looking for employment, that they're getting off the system. I'm okay with that, providing that and I think that there should be term limits on it, and it not be the more kids you have, the more money you get. And that money you get is the same as what minimum wage is. To me, that's sending the wrong message.
Yeah, that's reasonable. That seems quite reasonable.
So, but as far as everybody getting a cell phone because, hey, you're human too, you need a cell phone. No, go ahead and put those boxes at either end of the town. And if they need to make an emergency call, they can use those.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm not.
So as far as handing out just free stuff, I'm not okay with that.
I'm not in disagreement with that. But now let me ask you this question. Would you be more inclined to give free shit to people in this country, or are you okay just having our tax dollars flow over without our consent over to other nations? Because Israel is not the only nation that is receiving copious amounts of taxpayer dollars for whatever reason. You can call it strategic interest, you can call it, foreign aid, you can call it whatever, trying to promote this or that around the world. We are doing that. Taxpayers are doing that. Is that not a handout? Isn't that a handout that you and I didn't consent for? So why would you be opposed to say, hey, let's use some of that money and see if we can't get some of these fucking people that are clogging up our cities, that are out there begging, that have nothing? Well, why shouldn't we do something for them? Is it just purely because that sends the wrong message? Or if we're going to talk about America first, wouldn't that actually be a conversation at least worth having?
Well, like I said earlier, we have enough problems in our own country to take care of before we take care of other people.
But we're already doing that. That's my point.
We're taking care of other people. We're not necessarily taking care of our people that we have on the street corners holding signs. You
already said that. All I was saying, isn't that a conversation worth having?
Yes.
We both agree that it's probably not a good idea just to give shit people for free forever, unlimited. I get that. That's obvious. That would be a great way to approach it, is say there's a term limit for this assistance, right? But at the same time, look at our cities, look at the people that are actually going hungry, and look at the problems that we have, right? Wouldn't it be better, at least just let's have the conversation. Wouldn't it be better to say, let's give those fucking people that aren't going to do shit some freebies? Because you know what? We're giving freebies to other people to the tunes of billions.
Well, I don't think we should be giving freebies to other people. And again, the people that we have out there that need assistance, the only way to give them assistance is to encourage them to take care of themselves, not have the taxpayers take care of them.
Yeah, I think we've covered that, but I don't know. It's just something worth considering. All I'm saying, I'm not in favor of socialism. I'm not in favor of taking one's money like they're already doing and giving it to people that haven't earned it. I'm not saying that that's
Right.
what
I'm
I'm
saying
in favor
no.
of. Okay.
I'm not in favor of that.
Okay,
I've already said no to that.
So which would be better of the two, in your opinion? That's all I'm trying to get after. I'm not saying we do either. I'm not advocating
We
for
need
either.
to take care of our own people first.
So wouldn't it make more sense from the standpoint of saying, hey, we're already doing a bunch of bullshit socialist crap by taking money from us and then just doing, it's not staying in this country, it's going elsewhere. And
I know. I'm saying it shouldn't be going elsewhere because we have our own problems. We should be cleaning up our own problems first.
which would be better in your opinion? Are you in favor? I'm not, let's just pick one or the other. You either,
It should stay here in our country and clean up our own problems.
there you go. And I'm not saying
I'm more direct. I can do that for you.
Yeah, I'm not advocating that we do either. I'm just saying which would be better. Because most people would say, oh, let's not give the person that's on the street doing nothing, let's not subsidize their behavior. If you had to pick one, I mean, yeah, I think we both could agree, keep it here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but nonetheless, we've got things over in Gaza we need to get taken care of, right?
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices, but we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished. Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in those buildings right now. They're very unsafe. But we'll make it into a very good site for future development by somebody. We'll let other countries develop parts of it. It'll be beautiful. People can come from all over the world and live there.
That's fantastic.
I wanted to ask you about your conversations with world leaders today. You said that everybody is unified over your land, but we heard from President Sisi calling for a two-state solution and independent Palestinians.
You're talking about a different plan. I'm talking about something very much different. We're talking about rebuilding Gaza. I'm not talking about single state or double state or two state. We're talking about the rebuilding of Gaza.
What's the road ahead for governing?
Well, I have to see. I mean, a lot of people like the one-state solution. Some people like a two-state solution. So we'll have to see. I haven't commented on that.
And some people might say it feels premature declaring peace for the whole Middle East.
You want more people to be killed? What do you want, another 300,000-400,000 people to be killed? Is that what you're looking for?
But in terms of the risks in Gaza, in a already seen.
That's risk. So you'd be let them fight on for another couple of years and let some more buildings fall down on top of people and keep it going? No, we did it the right way. We did it. I think our timing was perfect, actually.
Yeah, I love how Trump says, let some more buildings fall down on people. and if you happen to see any of the video that's taken place over there, the bombing and stuff, those buildings aren't just falling down. They're actually
they're being blown up.
They're being blown up by American-made military equipment. And so I don't know. It's just a very, very interesting transition for our president. I think it's pretty evident that he's nothing compared to what we voted for at this point in his administration. And again, you can only ask the question and try to figure out, why is that? How can somebody switch 180 degrees? How can somebody take the political capital that he had and throw it away in favor of not the people that voted for him, not the people that wore red MAGA hats to his rallies, not for those people as much as it is for the people that are the most important. Well, not the most important, but the most wealthy and connected.
That Donald Trump rose up in 2016. And what was the message? It wasn't the message that you have now, where he says all this nonsense about corporate tax cuts. And invading Greenland and invading Venezuela and the rest of it. Let's remember Trump's original message. In 2015, Trump said, I don't want their money. I don't need their money. I am your voice for the forgotten men and women of America. For every parent that dreams for their child, every child that dreams for their future, I will fight for you. I will win for you. That was the message of Trump 2015. He said the war in Iraq was a mistake. He said free trade and mass migration have taken all the jobs. Mexico took the jobs. China took the jobs. He said our politicians are corrupt. They're stupid. And that's why they screwed over the people. He said, and he would literally take the country and make it great again. That's the message that animated this movement. Here we are 10 years later, and those promises have been stolen from us. Those promises have been totally corrupted. Look at the situation we're in now. They cut $800 billion out of Medicaid to pay for corporate tax cuts. They're telling us we can't pay for your benefits, but we can give Israel $30 billion. We can continue giving Ukraine all this money. They ran on Drain the Swamp. Now they're covering for Jeffrey Epstein. It is in this context, which cannot be ignored. What the hell happened to America first? We hate to interrupt this conversation between Israelis and communist Jews about how we're going to divide up America, but what the fuck about us? What about Americans? Hate to interrupt your little debate about whether we're going to give the money to Israel or whether we're going to give it to refugees and in the form of welfare reparations, but what about Americans?
Yeah, for as much shit as that guy gets for being a racist and a misogynist and a whatever else-ist, there's a lot that dude says that I tend to agree with. You know, for one, he's funny as fuck. I think the dude's funny. And, you know, I'm not threatened by the fact that he thinks that, you know, blacks should be in jail and women should shut the fuck up and whatever. He's doing a shtick, right? That guy right there, he would never. The only reason that they haven't shot him yet is because he doesn't have 10 times, you know, he doesn't have a tenth of the sway that Charlie Kirk had. The reason why Charlie got silenced is because he actually had a political movement that was very, very powerful, and it had a message. And there was a lot of question, at least he had a lot of question later on about the things that were driving our foreign policy and the influence that other countries had on this country. So he had to be silenced, just like any other powerful political mover like a Martin Luther King or a JFK. When you step too far outside of what, you know, think about the dudes that get bullets flying at them, right? Trump was that guy until they figured out, oh, we can actually fucking mold this guy because we have something over the top of him, right? Trump was a big threat leading in, but now he's a subservient fucking little puppy. He's doing exactly what the state wants, and that's why you see Lindsey Graham standing there arm in arm. That's why you see all of the deep staters that are silent right now. Right? All the Republicans that should be speaking out against child sex predators and covering up for those people, they should be vocal about it. They are completely silent right now. It's interesting, is it not?
Yes and no.
Yes and no? How so? What do you mean? Go ahead.
Well, they're getting their way. So
yes. I'm tracking now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just the other side of the same coin is what we're seeing, and they know that. But again, my prediction is this, and this will take place like really quite quickly when it happens. But as Trump loses his political capital, as it's proven that the Republican Party is, losing because, you know, as I said before, nothing wrong with silver. They really don't have a problem with that. So they're just kind of waiting right now. They're just kind of like, yeah, we'll just do the bare minimum to try to win the midterms and to hold on to some level of power. But as soon as the power shift has been transferred and, you know, it looks like the other side has some momentum and Trump's no longer a viable person, they're going to start to distance themselves from him. There's no way that J.D. Vance can stand there smiling next to Trump when he becomes politically toxic. And that's, in my opinion, what's going to happen, right? Do you think that he's going to carry this thing for the next 2.5, 3 years? And it'll just be the golden age of America on the path that he's on currently?
Not on the path he's on currently. He would have to decide that, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go the direction that I ran on and honor all of that information, which, trust me, I don't believe is going to happen. But that would be the only way that he could earn back people's trust.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of people that actually support him. I'm only speaking for myself. Mm-hmm. I'm only speaking for the way that I feel.
Well, and I think that he's lost the majority of the people's trust because he's not honoring any of the stuff that he ran on. I think that some of the stuff that he put in as executive orders, they're executive orders and not laws because they can be flipped over at the end of his term.
You think he did that on purpose?
I don't know that he physically, I believe he was told he's going, that's the way you're going to, this is the way we're going to improve this, is that it goes, and then we can make the changes we want.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of wisdom.
I've said it many times when you were president of the United States that no president is ever going to desert Israel. Right?
Correct. I put it more bluntly. I said, as I told congressional leaders during the 1973 Yom Kippur War, no American president will let Israel go down the tube.
All right.
Democrat or Republican, it's not an issue.
That is stated fairly categorically, and yet in your book you make it clear at the same time that Israel really is not of any enormous strategic value to the United States anymore.
That's correct.
So why then would the United States continue to burden itself with huge loans, in some cases outright grants, to the Israelis, jeopardize possibly young American fighting men when there is no strategic value involved, or little strategic
Because the United States is concerned by more than strategic values. That's maybe a weakness, but it's the way we are. And there are moral issues involved here. We don't have an alliance with Israel. As you know, they're not an ally of the United States in the technical sense. But we have a bond to Israel that's much stronger. It's a moral commitment because of what happened during the Holocaust, and a moral commitment because it is a democracy, the only democracy in that area. And under the circumstances, that is why American presidents and the American people in the future will support all out the survival of Israel if it's attacked.
Well, there you go. So that's one argument, right? That they were, you know, what happened in the Holocaust, not cool. And then they're this democracy that needs our support. That's always been the viewpoint that I've kind of been led to believe. And maybe there's some truth in there. I'm not saying that that's all bullshit or anything, but it's just, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing how everything kind of revolves around that country at the exclusion of a lot of other countries that could be in a similar situation. There's a lot of shit going on around the world that you just don't hear about. Mm-hmm. It's not spoken about. A lot of atrocity going on. But here we are embroiled in what looks to be the precipice of war, heading into a major and more extensive conflict with the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Yeah. I don't know why we can't just all get along.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be nice. every country do what they want, let them solve their own problems. To me, that makes sense.
Yes.
We need to solve our own problems here in the United States. Israel needs to solve their problems in their country with their people. Russia, China, goes for everyone. And I don't know. I think that would work out best.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And I think we'll all just kind of have to see how things continue to play out over the next little bit. But I'm trying to remain optimistic that whatever these politicians have in mind for us and future generations is in our best interest. I'm not super certain of that. I think there's a bigger nefarious plan that a lot of us aren't being given the full story on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nothing to really lose sleep on. It's just something to try to understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's just like the journey that we're all on. Myself, you, and really all of us. We should be on a journey in life to like understand the world we live in, because it's ever evolving. As things change and become more technological. Here's something, Rebecca. We all remember where we were the first time we saw something or heard something. So do you remember where you were when 9/11 occurred? Do you remember the moment?
I do not.
Okay. Do you remember where you were distinctly? Well, let me ask you this instead. What do you remember distinctly about any significant event? Do you remember the moment you heard a significant event? And it's just like, I remember it like it was yesterday. You remember the place you were at, in other words. I think most people have that. I know I do. Where there's some things that you hear that are so shocking, like, oh, wow. And then it's just something you remember.
There are things that I have like that, but they're probably not on as large of a scale as you remember.
What are you referring to?
Well, okay, this is on a small scale, but commuting to work, there was an elderly man that I would see every morning. And there was one morning I was driving and they were actually wrapping him up and taking him off the street. He'd been hit by a car.
Mm.
And I remember that. And I remember that very vividly.
I'm talking about something that other people would remember. Large scale events.
Right. So exactly what I was doing.
Do you remember where you were at when Michael Jackson, when you heard about that? Do you remember when you heard when Prince Diana died? These are things.
I do remember with Prince Diana. I actually was traveling back home. And there was another event. I had talked to you on that. But yes, I remember exactly Prince Diana.
I remember all of those things just because there's something when you hear them, they're kind of shocking and you're like, oh, fuck, and you start thinking about it. And I remember where I was at when those things happened. It's kind of hard for me not to like remember that. What do you think? How long do you think it's going to be until you come across? Will you remember the first time you see a humanoid robot out in fucking public?
I more than likely would remember that.
That's going to be weird.
That's going to be weird, yes.
But it's something that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we're always transitioning. We're always like living in a different world as technology advances. And so I guess that's, what I've been thinking about is like, that's going to be weird. The first time I see a fucking humanoid robot out in public doing public things,
mm-hmm.
It's just going to be weird. But at some point, it's just going to be ubiquitous. There'll be, apparently, as I'm being told, more of those than there will be people. That's kind of fucked up. That's something that like we're leaving for our children.
So you asked me about 9/11.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were at 9/11? I
100%.
was at home.
Yeah. 100%. I was on a fire.
You were at work.
I was
yes.
on fire.
So I mean, I remember that, but I didn't know if you were looking for something.
No, I'm just
more drastic. But I remember that, and I remember that you were at work. It's not like I forgot that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was. I remember the whole interaction when I first learned. So it's just going to be interesting moving forward. And so really this discussion between you and I is more or less just kind of fleshing out some of the things that I know that I've been thinking about, as we're now a month removed from the last time we sat down and had a conversation. I haven't seen this live stream glitching, so maybe this will actually wind up being posted. We'll see.
Of course, you have that box there, so I'm assuming nobody is visiting us, but
no, it's just a recording. There's not a live stream.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that. So.
Right. Yeah. So this will just go out as a episode 131 podcast. But we've got
on the third attempt.
Yeah, at least the third attempt. We've got plenty of things to do today. It is a frosty day. I got my lettuce all covered up out there last night, which is nice. We got a tremendous amount of snow dumped here in California this last week, with more on the way. There was a massive avalanche that unfortunately killed about 9 people, which is California's most deadliest avalanche. And that whole thing's kind of weird. It's still under investigation.
And I believe they've recovered 8 of those 9.
Yeah.
You're still looking for the last one?
Yeah. So it's kind of a really just a weird, I mean, it doesn't make any sense why they would be going out and doing that, particularly given the fact that they were not unseasoned and it was a guide service type of a thing. So just very stupid, but yeah. Anyhow, we got some things to do. Hopefully my nesting box gets here today, and I'll be excited about opening that up and planning for my next moves as far as getting our egg production headed in the right direction. And yeah. Got anything else you want to say? Any words of wisdom, people, that you want to leave people with, Rebecca? I know that we've been talking a lot about, the political scene and things that have gone on this past month or so. And I guess for me, it's just more or less just trying to figure out what I'm seeing and try to make some kind of sense about it, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I would say be aware of what's going around you, but always stay positive, because focus too much on the negative and it drags you down.
You're just the positive person all the time.
I think that positivity is a good thing for you to find in life.
Really?
In any avenue.
Shouldn't I be stressed out and get my high blood pressure up? And
that's what negativity does for you.
Yeah, I might have a stroke.
It also leads to depression.
Oh, no. Not depression.
So, that's my therapeutic speech for you. There's always a positive in every negative. So find that positive and go that direction.
You know what's positive is my injury, my running injury is starting to get better. I somehow pulled a hamstring. I don't know if it was just the increased intensity of my workouts and whatnot, but I somehow strained a hamstring, and I've been training through it. I usually train through, most of my injuries, but I've been trying to slowly work my way back. And I've had a couple of really good runs this week that are pretty promising, and I'm upping my mileage again. So I'm looking forward, now that you mentioned positivity, I'm looking forward to today, bright, sunny, clear day, going out and trying to get a nice outside run in and clear my head and use that opportunity to process and to think and to breathe and to lower my stress levels, because, what else do we have to do but
take care of yourself
and others. So with that, I will say, let's end this up today, Rebecca.
Sounds good.
And we'll have another cup of coffee, maybe a little breakfast. And hope that you all have a wonderful week moving forward. Hopefully we can get back to some level of consistency on sitting down and having a little coffee side chat here on Porterhouse and Teal Live. But I haven't been super motivated because it's been frustrating every time I start to do this and we get an hour 40 in, like we are right now, an hour and 45 minutes. Turns out we can't even share the thoughts that we've had, but maybe this time will be different. So with that, go out and be better tomorrow than you were today.
Have a great afternoon or a great day and weekend.
And homesteading is not harmful content.